Agent Drake. I'm Mr. Look at Me, although some people call me Vanicio because of my peculiar mutant capability of being invisible, but that's only when people look at me. I first noticed I got this when I tried to pay for my flu shot at the drugstore. I went up to the sales lady and she ran screaming to her boss saying she could hear somebody but not see him. So I just took my visa back and got out of there. And I noticed I was getting a similar reaction from other people too. They were yelling they couldn't see this talking person. So I just felt I took refuge at home. But home's where I like to be now and I'll tell you about my ideal night there. What I do is I fix me up a big giant glass of Jägermeister. In fact, I've even got one of their ties. And then I get me a sack of pretzels and I dip it in blue cheese. And then I binge watch my favorite show, reruns of Gilligan's Island. So I had to quit my job though, and it's understandable. My job was I supervised a staff of 3 binocular repairmen. And I'm not sure how I got that job because I can't fix them myself. But anyhow, it was the same complaint. They could hear me, but they couldn't see me. So it's understandable. But who needed a job when I could do stuff like rob stores and make the same amount of money or more? But now I wanted something more. And I thought, and I had an idea. I walked into a Goldman Sachs meeting, and with all these suits there, in between all the shady stuff going on, I picked up some amazing stock tips, and I made a killing on those. Now, as far as food and booze, that was nice too. I just walked into the kitchen of a 5-star restaurant, picked up the food right off the frying pan or the plates, whichever the case may be. Now, as you can imagine, there was one part of this trade of invisibility that didn't work so well, and that was with women. Can you imagine a woman trying to have sex with a guy who she couldn't see? Well, there could be some kinky one maybe who liked doing it with a mask over her eyes, but how often are you going to find one of those? Not very often. So I did what was second best. I snuck into the dressing room of the Miss Universe pageant and feasted my eyes on all those naked ladies. But as you can imagine, that's just second best. So then I had an idea I was going to do something new. So I journeyed to Washington, D.C., and I walked into President Trump's cabinet meeting. I can't stand Trump, but who I really wanted to see was Rudy Giuliani, because he's the best double talker I've ever seen. Well, Rudy wasn't there, but what I beheld was the most kowtowed bunch of guys and ladies I'd ever seen. And it was just too funny. And as I was leaving the meeting, I blew as hard as I could on the back of Trump's hair and just saw the fur fly. As I ran out of the meeting and down the hall, I could hear him screaming. So anyhow, after that, I thought, well, let's get back to making some money. So I took my act to Las Vegas. And I knew where the money was hid. I could find it there. This is money from the roulette, from the blackjack, from the baccarat tables, from the slot machines, and I picked up a lot of it, except there was one thing I hadn't figured on: cameras. Las Vegas is full of cameras, and so they just put 2 and 2 together. They looked at when the money was lost, and they saw this strange figure on the film, and they nabbed me, and that's why I'm talking to you right now. So if you were me, if you had this invisibility, this mutant capability, wouldn't you pretty much do some of the same stuff I did? I mean, how could you resist it? So can't you have a little bit of pity and sympathy for a poor guy who could never have a normal life for the rest of his entire life? I think so. I think you can. Can I make up for it and do a little community service? Help the blind people maybe?